Why hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today I want to share with you guys my process for how I make my Animal Crossing YouTube videos. Before I started making videos myself, I always thought it'd be really difficult because I've never had any kind of formal education in video editing or anything like that, and having that mental block was something which really put me off making videos for a long time. It wasn't until I came across Kelly Stamps' YouTube channel which inspired me to finally take the leap, and her videos also dispelled any fears I had around it being too late to start a channel. So today my main aim is to show you guys my process for how I make my Animal Crossing YouTube videos, in case this is the little push that any of you guys need to start your own channel, or if you already have your own channel and make Animal Crossing videos, hopefully this can still be useful. Equally, if you're already making Animal Crossing or gaming videos in general, please feel free to share any tips and tricks you may have down below. I know I will no doubt find them very helpful. This video will be separated into different sections, so I'll have chapters down below so you can navigate it nice and easily. I'll be covering things like what equipment and software I use, the links to which will be down in the description. I'll be detailing a rundown of my video making process from the kind of idea and conceptualization stage to filming, then editing, and throughout I'll include some tips and tricks I've also picked up along the way. But with that being said, I want to reiterate the fact that I have not had any formal education on video editing or anything like that, so not everything I do will be perfect. That's why this video is how I make Animal Crossing videos, not how to make Animal Crossing videos. Every person who makes videos does things differently depending on their own preferences and skill level. For me, being a novice and with this being my hobby, I, for example, prefer using software which is free and reasonably beginner friendly. I also just want to point out here that the basic kit I use will allow you to record and make any video playing games on Switch, so if you're either wanting to start out making Animal Crossing videos, then transition into other types of content, or whether you want to make other types of content off the bat, this video will hopefully still be helpful to you. I think that's everything I have to say in terms of disclaimers and stuff right now, so without further ado, let's get into this video. So before I get into my video making process, let's run through the equipment and kit that I use. So obviously I use my Switch and copy of Animal Crossing New Horizons. You'll need a regular Switch which comes with a dock, as I believe you can't actually record from Switch Lites, but please let us know down below if that is something which people have figured out how to do by now. Next, I am currently using a laptop for recording. I got this laptop back in 2016 I think, so it's lasted me a good while. It's the Median P6661, which has an Intel i7 core processor and an NVIDIA GTX 950M graphics card, which from what I've gathered is super outdated by now. It runs on a Windows operating system, so to any Mac users, you may want to bear that in mind. While my laptop is miraculously still running really well for its age, in the next month or so I'll be upgrading to a desktop PC, which I'm super excited about. The one I've ordered is a variant of the HP Omen 30L. I can't remember the exact specs of it right now, and strangely I've been looking around online for it, but it seems to be out of stock in everywhere pretty much. But if by the time this video goes up and I've found it, I'll be sure to put it in the video description. Next, to actually allow me to record the in-game clips is my capture card. The one I have is almost like a little dongle which plugs into a USB port, then in the other end I connect the HDMI cable coming from my Switch dock. The one I bought is just a fairly cheap one off Amazon. I got it back in September of last year when I first started making gaming content on my channel, and so far it's worked just fine for me. Hopefully at some point in the future I'll be able to upgrade to one of those fancy Elgato ones, but for now this one works just fine for me. In conjunction with my capture card, the software I use for recording is OBS, or Open Broadcaster software, which is completely free and it's fantastic. When my capture card arrived, it actually came with a little booklet which instructed you on how to get it set up in OBS. That was overall a really easy process. It took about 2 steps and it's pretty much just plug and play for whenever I want to record. A more minor piece of equipment I use when filming, which now I don't think I could even live without, is my external hard drive. The one I use has a capacity capacity of 1 terabyte and is from the brand Seagate. In OBS, you can choose where your recorded videos are stored, and for me, having them go straight into my hard drive is great, so the clips don't clutter up my laptop storage. I then store all completed and exported videos on my hard drive as well. In terms of recording voiceovers like this one, the microphone I use is the Elgato Wave 3. It's quite expensive considering how I'm still fairly new to making videos and my channel is still quite small, but for me it's been completely worth it because I think it's seriously improved the overall quality of my videos. But with that being said, during the first few months of me making videos, I used a really cheap microphone that I'd actually bought years ago when I tried making a YouTube channel focused on Sims content. So having an expensive microphone off the bat is definitely not necessary. I also purchased some big headphones which have really come in handy for when I edit my videos, especially for helping me make sure that I'm balancing all the sound levels and stuff like that well. They weren't super expensive, but I really like them just for general use outside of YouTube stuff. They're great. They're called the Jam Out There headphones. In terms of editing software, I'll really briefly mention it here, but I'll be discussing it much more in depth later in this video. But the one I use is called Shotcut. It's a free and open source one. Unlike on Apple devices, we don't get a more substantial free editing software on Windows machines like iMovie, so I definitely had to do some research and trial and error to find this one, which I'm mostly happy with for the moment. And finally, for making thumbnails and other elements like the little intro video I have at the start of all my videos, as well as my channel banner and stuff like that, I use Canva. I used to use PicMonkey, but they've made it so now you have to pay to download the pictures you create. Canva, on the other hand, has a massive amount of free tools available, and there are also plenty of videos on YouTube which help you get to know your way around it. So if you're new to picture editing like I was, I found Canva really helpful. Okay, so for those of you who are new to my channel, I make quite a few different types of Animal Crossing videos, but the vast majority of them are not what could be described as recorded live, meaning I don't simultaneously record the voiceover and video at the same time. I typically do them separately unless I'm filming something like an island tour video, which for me is fairly rare. For simplicity's sake, today I'll mainly be focusing on my process of filming speed build videos because I know that style of video is really popular in the AC YouTube space, but at the end of this section I'll briefly discuss how the process changes if I'm making a more tutorial style video like this one, or something like the Nookazon experiment videos I do fairly often. So before I start filming anything, one program I use all the time, not just for YouTube but also generally in my everyday life, is Notion. I'll use it for planning out what meals I'll be eating, I'll use it for taking notes in university, for keeping track of my budget and all that good stuff. But for YouTube specifically, I've set up a page which contains a big master list of all of my video ideas, as well as a calendar which I'll use to plan out when I'll post content. Whenever I get ideas for videos, I'll open up the app and then jot them down, so when I have time to come back around to them, it's already there and I kind of have a base for video ideas and stuff like that set up and ready to go. So for speed build videos specifically, I'll usually write down any ideas I have for items I want to include in the build, for example, or perhaps the odd little tidbits of things that I want to say in the voiceover. But the planning for speed build videos is fairly minimal in comparison to a video like this, for example. Next, when I've decided what speed build I'll be doing, I'll head over to Pinterest and Instagram and I'll get some inspiration. I'll typically look at builds that other people have done in the same style or core that I'll be using in my own speed build, so I can get a sense of the items which work well in combination together, or to look for unique custom designs like path sets to use or interesting flower combinations and stuff like that. Once I've gone around and gathered some inspiration and made some notes on what I want to do in this speed build video, I'll hook up my Switch and capture card, open OBS and start filming. I found that gathering some inspiration and ideas before I start recording really helps make my life easier when it comes to importing clips and editing later, because I then have less useless bits which I need to cut out or cut around, which was, just me running about because I had no idea what to do. But anyway, filming will usually take me a few hours, but that length of time can vary depending on the size size of the area I'm decorating, but also generally my mood at the time. I don't know about you guys, but some days I feel like I can build really quickly and be extremely happy with what I do, but other days I'll be taking forever to build things, only to end up hating it and want to tear it down and to restart. While filming, I'll usually be listening to a podcast like the Nook Talk live show hosted by Nintentalk and Switchforce, or depending on my mood, I'll listen back to a live stream from someone like Artie Game or Lilith Fox. I've tried before to watch shows like The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I got way too distracted from building, so I realised that just didn't work for me. After I finished filming, I'll then take some thumbnail shots and I'll import all the clips I've took into Shotcut. For speed build videos, I'll then cut all the clips together and speed everything up. After making a good few of this style of video now, I've learned that there are a few things that I personally prefer doing while editing. For example, I personally find it really boring to watch things like terraforming, unless that's the main feature of the build itself, such as in sunken waterfall builds, for example, or things like the path placement, because they are just really repetitive. A few little bits of that is fine here and there, but it's really boring to watch, in my opinion, in vast quantities. I also try and cut things out, like me running back to my house to get materials, or when making mistakes I also try and cut them out rather than making my audience watch me first make that mistake, then correct it, before being able to continue with the build. I found as well that speeding up clips to around 5 or 6 times is ideal for Animal Crossing videos. It hits the spot between it being too slow to watch and, on the boring side, but also between being too fast and way too jarring to watch. But again, that's just what I found I personally prefer. In terms of talking about this editing software itself, again, it took me a little while to find this one. I initially started using another popular free open source editing software called OpenShot. But for whatever reason, after I downloaded it, I tried it a little bit and it either didn't work for me or I just couldn't get my head around it. And with that being said, Shotcut itself definitely took me a while to get used to. I'll leave a link to it below, as well as some really helpful tutorials I used when I was first starting out. I think that getting used to it is, like everything, practice makes perfect. The more you use it, the faster you get with it. I remember with the first speed build video I ever made, it took me about 8 hours to edit. I kept making mistakes, I had no idea what I was doing. It generally was a bit of a frustrating time, but now I'm able to edit a speed build video in between, I'd say, an hour and a half and 2.5 hours, so significantly less time. Once I've got my clips cut together and sped up, I'll jot down some notes for a voiceover. I still like doing that just so I have things actually planned out to say, and so I honestly don't just chat rubbish, which is filled with filler words and phrases like and yeah and stuff like that. I'll record my voiceover in Shotcut. At the moment in the flat I live in, it's very noisy, so I have to record with my head stuck in my wardrobe so I can try and dampen any road sounds my mic picks up. I'll record my voiceover for speed builds while actually watching the video so I can point out anything that I might want to draw you guys' attention to, and it also gives me an indication of when to start wrapping things up, for example. After I've recorded, I'll do any minor cuts to the voiceover, then I'll make any minor adjustments to the video if that's needed, but if not, I'll then just add in my music. I find my music from YouTube mostly, for example, by searching for copyright-free aesthetic music, then downloading it into MP4 format by using one of those sites which are dare I say, questionable at best. You always want to ensure that the music you want to use is definitely copyright free in videos. You don't want to be plagiarizing anything. Again, referencing that first channel that I made years ago, I accidentally did that because I was using music which another creator I followed had used in their videos, so I assumed it was fine. As it turned out, the reason why she took down the video I found it from was because the music got copyright struck, so that was really scary. Obviously, nothing really came from it and I took down the videos, but it was definitely a bit scary. So you always want to make sure that you're using copyright-free music. Adding music is usually the last thing I do. So once that's in, I'll watch the video through one more time, make sure there's no mistakes, and then I'll get to exporting it. Typically, while a video is exporting, I'll edit the thumbnail. I have one big project on Canva which I use for all my thumbnails. I use that same one because it has all of my texts and stuff stuff already set up in it. I've gone through a few different styles of thumbnail over the life of my channel. I'm not amazing at all of this by any means. I can't make super aesthetic ones like some Animal Crossing content creators, but I think I've definitely improved and I'm happy with the style of thumbnail I have created for now. But catch me in like 4 months' time and I probably would have changed it up again. And then that's pretty much it. I'll double check the exported video, make sure that it came out all okay, and then I'll upload it. Like I said though, this process does change depending on the style of video I'm making. So for example, for a Nookazon experiment video, I would film the video. Depending on the project, I'll split the filming up over a few days or even weeks if it'll be one that'll be taking a lot of effort. While filming, I'll write rough notes on what happened during the filming process. I'll then pull those notes into a rough script. I'll then record the voiceover, edit the voiceover, and then organize the clips that I took around said voiceover. I'll then again finish it off with music, export it, and upload it. I think there's one last thing I wanted to mention to you guys today, and it might sound a little bit obvious, but I've tried to adopt the mentality that you never know which video will blow up. And when I say blow up, I don't mean to get over 1 million views overnight, but for me it was a video climbing to 100 views, then to 1,000 views in a few weeks, when my videos typically got around 50 views, if that. Also, with that being said, you might post a video which initially doesn't do amazingly, but then over time it accumulates a few tens of views every week until it has a few thousand views. What I mean by that is that new viewers find you from every video you post. More so from some than others perhaps, but try to maximize that opportunity every single time to draw in new subscribers by putting in maximum effort and maximum, dare I say, perfectionism into each video you create. But yes guys, I think that is all I have for you today. I'm looking back over the script and the time I've spent recording it, and it's turned out to be a lot longer than I expected. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Again, if you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to get to know me better as well as some of the other lovely folks in this community, perhaps consider joining the Discord, the link to which will be down below. I hope you guys are having an amazing day and I'll see you again soon.